The U.S. Border Patrol was founded in 1924 and for a long time catered to the wishes of Anglo-American farmers in the Southwest, in states such as California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. The patrol turned a blind eye as these farmers took in thousands of undocumented Mexican immigrants and exploited them with little pay for the hard manual labor they were performing. In 1945, World War II ended, and the U.S. Border Patrol started to break down their friendly relationship with farmers. They started to more forcefully search for undocumented Mexican immigrants on farmers' lands by conducting unexpected raids on their farms at random hours of the day and night. Farmers were very angry as a response. For years, they had paid these Mexican migrants very little money for the work they were doing, exploiting them to increase the profitability of their farms. And now the U.S. Border Patrol was coming in unannounced and sending these undocumented migrants to Mexico. As a result, rebellions occurred, such as the Farmers' Rebellion in South Texas in the late 1940s to early 1950s. These farmers argued that the jobs they offered Mexican workers were acts of international kindness toward refugees from Mexico who had escaped poverty and tyranny from the Mexican government. However, many border patrolmen found Mexican workers abused, poor, and systematically oppressed by the conditions on the farms. As a result, some border patrolmen considered themselves liberation fighters. Farmers continued to protest, stating that the Border Patrol placed these Mexican workers in wretched conditions as they deported them, such as in detention centers which were comparable to concentration camps. Many Mexican Americans and Mexican American political organizations supported the Border Patrol and pushed for more strict deportation policies, as they believed their jobs and homes were endangered by unsanctioned Mexican immigrants who worked for wages and under conditions that citizen workers refused. The League of United Latin American Citizens, known as LULAC, a leading Mexican American political and cultural organization of this era, was one of these advocates of limiting Mexican immigration and supporting increased border enforcement. In 1942, a program was established between the U.S. and Mexico called the Bracero Program, which required that U.S. farmers provide contracts regulating adequate housing, sanitation, and disability insurance for their Mexican workers, and required they provide them with a minimum wage of 30 cents an hour. Farmers aggressively objected to this program as they didn't believe they needed to provide these things, and as a result, the program was vastly inadequate in improving the working and living conditions of Mexican workers. In the meantime, mass numbers of undocumented Mexicans were crossing the border and entering the U.S. illegally, who were not part of this Bracero program. As a result, by the early 1950s, the U.S. Border Patrol officials declared to be in a state of crisis along the U.S.-Mexico border. In response, the U.S. Border Patrol enacted Operation Wetback in the summer of 1954. Wetback was a derogatory term attributed to undocumented Mexicans who would cross the border illegally. The operation was led by General Swing, a retired commanding general appointed by President Eisenhower as director of the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service. Swing promised he would lead the U.S. Border Patrol in an intensive and innovative law enforcement campaign designed to end the problem of illegal Mexican immigration along the U.S.-Mexico border. Within this summer of 1954, Swing ordered hundreds of Border Patrol officers to sweep through the southwestern United States and perform a series of raids, roadblocks, and mass deportations. They used jeeps, trains, and planes to apprehend, process, and deport hundreds to thousands of migrants each day. They did not undergo new training programs, they were not instructed in new techniques of migration control, and they did not receive new equipment. They were simply instructed to purge the nation of unsanctioned immigrants. Only 20 days of Operation Wetback took place in 1954, but in those 20 days, the Border Patrol apprehended approximately 33,000 persons, many of whom were U.S. citizens who were illegally deported to Mexico without being given a chance to prove their citizenship.